Zooey TV.
Zoe held a shiny ticket with his name on it and a tiny airplane picture. Today, he wouldn't throw a paper plane. Today, he would ride a real one. The airport felt like a bright, buzzing hive. Luggage rolled by like tiny cars. Signs glowed with letters and arrows. A little cart beeped as it drove past, and people in yellow vests waved. Zoe watched closely. He moved with the crowd to a place where trays slid along a belt. He placed his bag in a tray, stepped through a quiet doorway that hummed, lifted his arms like a starfish, and then lowered them when the friendly guard nodded. Past the checkpoint, a giant window opened to the world outside. Airplanes waited like resting birds. Some had bright shapes on their tails. Some had round, curious noses. Zoe pressed his palm to the glass. A plane rolled along painted lines, following paths like secret maps. A worker guided it with orange wands. Zoe copied the motions with his arms and smiled. It felt like a dance. At the gate, people sat with bags and books. A calm voice invited families with small children to board.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. May I have your attention, please?
Zoe stood, felt a little wobble in his knees, and steadied himself. The jet bridge was a gray tunnel with a tiny echo. A friendly person at the entrance smiled with their eyes and showed him down the aisle. Zoe nodded. He could feel the welcome without any words. Inside, the plane was neat and narrow. Soft seats lined up in rows. Zoe found his seat by reading letters and numbers, a small treasure hunt that led him to the window. He slid into the seat and clicked his belt. The wings stretched outside like a white arm, the tip curling up like a wave. A truck with a hose fed the wing from below. Fuel, he decided, airplane food. Another truck lifted suitcases into the plane's belly. People worked together like parts of a clock, small jobs making a big job go. A soft chime sounded. A light above showed a small seatbelt shape. A person in a neat uniform stood in the aisle and showed how to be safe. Their hands told a quiet story. Zoe watched carefully. Learning could be a dance. The plane pushed back with help from a little truck. It turned and rolled toward a long, open runway. The engines hummed. The entire plane shivered, like a cat before a jump. Zoe pressed his palm to the window and thought a brave thought. Up is a kind of forward. The plane began to run. A gentle push pressed into his back. Then the wheels whispered off the ground. The city slipped away, and the world rearranged itself into tiny shapes. Roads became ribbons, houses became blocks, and cars became shiny dots. Zoe's belly fluttered like a small bird, then settled as the plane found its breath. He smiled without sound and leaned toward the glass. The wing flexed like something alive. Small flaps slid and tucked, up and down, gentle and sure. 4 words from a book rose in his mind: lift, drag, thrust, wait. Here they were, like friends holding hands. Clouds gathered, first thin wisps, then soft pillows, and then a wide, white field. The plane sailed into a tunnel of cotton. For a heartbeat, everything outside was white. Then they burst into blue so bright he squinted. The horizon drew a clear line where the sky met the world. The wing traced small shadows across the cloud tops. Far below, a river flashed like a silver snake. A car rolled quietly down the aisle. Wheels whispered, cups clinked, and the friendly person with smiling eyes offered him a small juice and a cookie. He held them like treasures, taking tiny sips and bites as he looked out at the wide, bright day. Light shifted as the plane turned. The sun became a warm coin resting on the wing. A soft voice announced they would land soon. A gentle tug pulled at Zoe's thoughts, a mix of wanting a little more and feeling almost there. The plane tilted and began to descend. The engine's song softened. The ground rose to meet them. The wings' flaps opened like careful fingers. Wheels folded down with a quiet thump. The runway swelled ahead. The air felt thick. The plane stopped at the gate. A chime sounded. The little seatbelt light went dark. He gave the window a small, thankful tap and stepped into the jet bridge, then back into the bright, bustling airport. The same hive as before, but now it felt friendly and known. By another wide window, he found a quiet bench and opened his sketchbook again. He drew the landing as he felt it, flaps opening like fingers, wheels touching down like commas in a long sentence, the runway steady and careful beneath. He closed the book and tucked it away. Outside, another airplane lifted into the sky, smooth as a kite on a steady wind. Zoe raised his hand and made a tiny wave. It wasn't a goodbye. It was a hello again, the kind you give to something you plan to see many times.